Hey everyone, it's Mike Adams here with Big Mike's Magic, and welcome back to another day in the arena. And in today's video, guys, we're going to be playing a little Esper today, and this is a deck that I'm calling Nightmare of Truth, okay? And this is a fun deck to play, and really cool, and it's been actually pretty competitive. And so I'm excited to share this one with you guys. One of the key cornerstones of this deck is, obviously, we got the Nightmare, okay? So we got the Muse in here. Okay, and obviously this is just such a powerful planeswalker. The +1 ability, you get a 2/3 token creature that whenever it attacks or blocks, you get to take 2 off the top of their deck and remove them from the game. Okay, and later with the 7 cast -7 ability, you can grab up to 3 cards that you've been able to remove from the game. And play them without their casting cost. So it's very powerful. And obviously the -3 ability right there in the middle, being able to return a permanent to their hand and then making them exile a card. And this is really, really cool because a lot of times when this card drops, they might only have 1 or 2 cards in their hands, and a lot of times they're holding it. Maybe it's a counterspell, or maybe it's just something that they're waiting to put out there. And you have then from there when they finally play it, you can make them discard it immediately with this. So very powerful. So there's our Nightmare, and then here's the Truth. Okay, so we've got Atris, the Oracle of Half Truths, and this one right here, it took me for a little bit to catch on to how incredibly powerful this card actually is. I play a lot of Esper decks, Dimir decks, things like that. And when I actually started to figure this out, because I was like, okay, Menace, not a big deal. I'm not usually running a lot of aggro or trying to attack a lot, with a ton of creatures in Esper and Dimir, right? But when I looked at the card draw ability, okay, so when it comes into play, target opponent looks at the top 3 cards of your library, and then from there separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. And then you get to choose one of those piles and put them into your hand. And it is so surprising how many times people forget to put them into piles. So many times they just put 3 in one pile and then 0 in the other one, and you just select all 3 and you get all 3 cards. So that's huge, but otherwise you're either getting 2 or 1 card, either the face-up card or the 2 face-down. And so either way, it's a great way to draw additional cards. And on top of that, I like to use it with Teferi or even the Tyrant Scorn here. At the end, once you've used the ability, you can bounce it back to your hand and use it again. And so it's a great way to continue to cycle through your deck to get the things that you need to go ahead and dominate your opponent. But let's take a look at the rest of the deck here. Okay, we got 4 Omen of the Sea. Again, this is like an opt on steroids. Okay, a flash, 1 blue and 1 colorless. And when it comes into play, you get to scry 2, and then you get to draw a card, and then you can sacrifice this later to scry 2 again. So very powerful. We got 1 Despark in here to just simply remove from the game anything big. 4 Thought Erasure. Huge, okay, and this one's been around for a while, so you already know how powerful this is. Surveil 1. Tyrant Scorn. This card's starting to get a little bit more play. I think last season, you didn't see this card a lot. But now, okay, where you're moving away from having so many board wipes in your decks, and I was even actually running a lot of Legion's End for a while, which I still like to use, but I'm finding that this card is just a little bit more flexible and really good for your spot removal on things that are small, and then on things that are big, you can always bounce it back to their hand and make them wait around before they can hit you. We got 3 Narsets in here, okay, and this one is just a tricky planeswalker. A lot of people just forget that when this is in play, they can't draw extra cards. And so a lot of times, if they're just not paying attention to the board, they're going to try to play their cards so that way they can draw extra, and it's like, oh, forgot about Narset. And either way, you can use its ability to look at your top 4 and then grab yourself a non-creature, non-land card from the 4. And usually you get to play that twice, and then it just sits out there with 1 until it either gets killed or you put out another one. Okay, so Narset, very powerful. You all know about Teferi, okay? And this just allows it to where, when this is out, nobody can counter what you're doing. So all of your sorceries and creatures that you want to play, if this is in play, you don't got to worry about people countering you. Or, especially when you're dealing with those flash decks, people doing stuff on your turn. So it's a great way to control that. You can return an artifact or a creature or an enchantment, okay, to its owner's hand, and then you get to draw a card. So again, you can use this on their stuff, and you can also use it on your stuff. Like if you're going to bounce this back to your hand, a lot of times I'll bounce the Oath of Kaya back to my hand so that way I can use it again to gain that life. Okay, we got 3 of those in the deck here. Deals 3 damage to any target. You gain 3 life. And then whenever someone tries to attack one of your planeswalkers while this is in play, you're going to gain 2 life and they're going to take 2 damage. So it's a nice little life gain engine. Esper always needs a little bit of that. We've got 1 Mortify in the deck, 3 of the Atris Oracle of Half-Truths, 4 Shatter the Sky. And absolutely love this card here. And really for me, it's taken the place of Kaya's Wrath, simply because of the casting cost. And I've had some people reach out saying, well, Mike, they get to draw a card. And, if they have a big creature out there, they get to draw a card. And it's like, that's fine. Because how many situations do you end up in where, you have the 2 white, and then maybe you got a blue and a black, and you can't run Kaya's Wrath, okay? Because you need 2 black, okay, along with your 2 white. So the flexibility of this casting cost makes it worth it on the occasion that they get to draw a card. Not a big deal to wipe the board. We got 1 Elspeth Conquers Death, cool saga, great way to exile target permanent and opponent controls with converted mana cost of 3 or greater. So you can go ahead and take something big. You can take Nissa, something big of theirs off the playing field, get rid of it for the game. From there, the next round, it makes their non-creature spells a little bit tougher to cast by adding 2 colorless to it. And then round 3, okay, you can return a creature or a planeswalker in your graveyard into play with either a +1/+1 counter on the creature or an additional loyalty counter on the planeswalker. So really cool saga. We got 3 of our and we got 1. Wait a second. That's not right. I was going to say, that's not right. There should be 2 of those bad boys in there. So let's get you back in there. Okay, so we got 2 Ashioks, okay, Nightmare Muse, we already discussed that. And then as well, for an additional win condition, we got 2 Dream Trawlers in here. This card right here is one of, I would say, just one of the most annoying cards out there. It's great when you're using it, but when you're going against it, it's one of the most annoying cards to face, because if you don't have a board wipe, this thing is almost impossible to get rid of, okay? Obviously, if they can have something in place where you have to sacrifice, like a Doom Foretold, something like that, or board wipe, that's the only really way that you can get rid of this thing. They're very powerful, 3/5 flying, 2 blue, 2 white, 2 colorless, okay? It's got lifelink, and whenever you draw a card, it gets a +1/+0 to the end of turn, and you can literally discard a card. You don't have to pay anything. Just discard a card and give this thing hexproof until the end of turn, which makes it so difficult to kill. And of course, whenever it attacks, you get to draw an additional card. So really powerful. Okay, we got 60 total cards in here, and I believe we got 26 mana in this deck. So 3, 6, 10, 12, 16, 20, 25 mana in this deck. And as far as the sideboard, and again, for the videos today, we're going to be doing best of 1. But this is the sideboard that I put together for it, for best of 3. A couple Devout Decrees, Noxious Grafts, Dovin's Veto, an additional Dispark. The Spyglass is in there. Kaya, Orzhov, Usurper, again, another powerful planeswalker which removes creatures from the game that are sitting in people's graveyards. So if you are running something like, if you are running this and you're going best of 3, well, guess what? Now you're going to run into some of these, Simic decks where Euro is just sitting in that graveyard, keeps coming back, coming back, coming back. Well, you get a Kaya out there, you can actually get rid of that from the game. A couple Thieves of Sanity and 1 more Elspeth Conquers Death. So again, this is the Nightmare of Truth, guys. Pretty powerful deck, and I think that you guys will enjoy the gameplay here as well. Hopefully, you guys like the video. If you do, make sure to give this video a like, and if you have any questions about the deck, or if you see any ways that this deck can be improved, make sure to leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next video.